story. And this story starts with me going into a business group. This business group was put together by one of my best friends who I am obsessed with. I think I'm just so proud of everything she's built. And she thought, you know what, as an entrepreneur myself, that I would enter into this group. And I'm very thankful that I did. However, the first meeting, and I've talked about this on the podcast, but I never really talked about what I discovered from it. So the first meeting, I left thinking, why the fuck am I here? Why am I in this group of women who are, financial analysts and own their own marketing firms and PR? And why am I here? Right? And would leave almost feeling bad about myself. And finally, over time, I've been in this group for a year. Over time, I would notice silly things like not being able to explain concepts that I very well know and be able to pick words that make sense for what I'm saying. You'll see me do that here sometimes. It's still a struggle. However, when I was talking to them about certain topics, I knew, these are topics I talk about with my clients, and my clients are, a little actually more successful than most of the women in this group. Not to like compare, but like I've dealt with some pretty like high power people, like people in positions that I can't even tell you because they're so up there. And just people in leadership positions, executive positions. I've worked with celebrities. I've worked with a lot of people, right? And I could talk to those individuals, but for some reason in this particular room, I felt like the stupidest one leaving. And if you have ever experienced this, if you've ever left a room and thought like, why the fuck am I here? Why do I sound so dumb? Why do I feel so stupid? These people are going to figure out I shouldn't be here. Then you're in the right place. Today we're talking about how to survive imposter syndrome. So let's get into it. Did y'all see that video? I hope you saw the video. If you didn't see the video, it's so cute. Should I play it one more time? Let me see. Where's the chat? Did you guys see the video in the chat? If you did, give me a little thumbsies up because I hope you did. It's so freaking cute. All right. So imposter syndrome. We hear this word all the time. We hear it all of the time, and it is so real in specific communities. And those communities I'm going to get into. But like, have you really thought about what it is and what it is for you specifically and why it exists? Imposter syndrome to me is actually exactly what it sounds like. Other coaches will tell you that it's, you're just not living up to your standard and you're just not da-da-da-da. You are being an imposter at a certain point. And today I'm going to talk to you about why. Why is it that I leave these rooms not feeling great? But let me talk about some research here. So in a recent study in 2024 through 2026, right? So very, very recent, shows that imposter syndrome, more accurately called imposter phenomenon, is a far more common thing that happens to most people and they don't realize it. It's defined as persistent self-doubt and the fear of being exposed as a fraud, even when there is clear evidence of competence and success. Clear evidence. Keep that in mind. For those of you here in the chat, I want you to, in the chat, on a scale of 1 to 10, how strong have your imposter syndrome feelings felt over the past year? 1 to 10, where 10 is like through the roof. I leave meetings and I feel so crummy, so gross. Throw it in the chat. Let's have a conversation. That's why we're doing the live stream, right? I want to see it. Here we go. Public chat. Didn't see it. Oh, we didn't see it. Dang it. Ugh. How do we do that again? Let's see. Oh, wow. Okay. 1 to 10. We'll get through this together. 6 out of 10. That's huge, right? That's a big, big number. When we're looking at data, right? What it tells us is that the most prevalent high pressure environments, especially those, and these are a lot of my clients, those in the medical professional field, graduate students, founders, executives, people stepping into leadership roles. When someone is more visible and the environment is a more high pressure environment, it is more likely that they will experience imposter syndrome. We have an 8 out of 10. Wow. Okay, I'm so glad that you are here. Missy Moo. The other thing that I want people to realize is that research shows that imposter syndrome is linked to anxiety, to depression, to stress, and to perfectionism. And the thing that we'll talk about later is the perfectionistic part of us is actually what's causing the imposter syndrome. I wouldn't say it's a cause, but you're gonna find this pattern that is created, and we will talk about how to get you out of that pattern. But particularly the kind of perfectionism that is driven by fear of making mistakes and harsh criticism. If you follow me on TikTok at Mindset of Matter, I just am doing a series now on 3 signs if, and the last 2 that I did were 3 signs if you are an avoidant perfectionist versus 3 signs if you're an achievement perfectionist. And the avoidant perfectionist is this one, right? Very fearful of failure and very harsh on themselves. They're so fearful of making mistakes that oftentimes they won't even try things. Or again, they just feel like they mask the way that they initiate or execute. And that masking is a part of that imposter syndrome feeling. So again, low self-esteem and fear of failure are significant predictors of imposter syndrome. The newest research is shifting the conversation. Instead of viewing imposter syndrome as like an individual weakness or a character flaw, okay? What research is showing is increasingly examining, again, the environmental factors. And this is something that you guys are going to hear me speak about because I continually educate myself on the newest research in behavioral change. And one of the major, major factors that affect our esteem is performance-based culture. Performance-based culture is everywhere. And for those of you here, I'm going to say, even things like checklists, which Rebecca and I know about, checklists, trying to hit a macro goal, trying to say, I have to work out 3 days a week. I have to hit the 10,000 steps. I have to close my rings out on my watch. That's a performance-based culture. Then you think about corporate America, and I've worked in corporate America for a short amount of time. You know, I just actually left, and I actually have full makeup on if you guys didn't notice, because I had a photo shoot today and for this deal that I got nominated for with other leaders in Phoenix. And a couple of us went to lunch afterwards, which was really nice. And I was talking about my stint in corporate America. And what I'm realizing now is, number one, I absolutely needed that in order to create my program. But number two, it gave me insight to corporate America, traveling for work, all the things that a lot of my clients get. But anyways, in corporate America, it's performative, right? You perform to get the bonus, to get the president's club. That's something that I had, to get the raise, to get, to the next level, whatever that is. It's very performative. And if we think about it, performance-based metrics are everywhere. So it's like we are constantly in competition in some sort, whether it's your kid at school getting the best grades, you having the best snacks at the soccer tournament, your kid having the best dress at the dance, whatever it is, right? We're constantly performing. So performance metrics, lack of psychological safety, which I'm going to talk about here, but also systemic bias, right? Systemic bias and unrealistic standards for a lot of us. And I'm going to touch on that because for some of the women who are going to see this, you're the only one like you in the position you're in. And because of a lack of diversity, you feel like you have to change yourself to match the culture you're in. And I'm here to tell you, we don't need to do that. You know, I was thinking about it today. When I meet people, I just start cussing right away. And I was if you guys watched the show, what is it called? It was the Rebecca, the Palm Beach, the Palm Beach show on Netflix. I think it's called like No, I don't know. Anyways, it's about Palm Beach culture. And they are like, don't be loud, don't use curse words. And I go into these, I don't know, it's just who I am. I'm going to drop an F bomb probably within the first 15 to 20 minutes that we're talking. Maybe 30. But that's what I'm going to do. And I was driving today. I was like, maybe I need to stop cussing as much. And then my little therapist voice was like, you curse. That's who you are. If the person doesn't like your cursing, and again, I'm not like Michael Rappaport, like going crazy. If the person doesn't like your cursing, they don't have to be around you. And it was just a funny little like, oh, maybe I need to change myself to be in this other place, or be seen good in the light of these people. Anywho, in other words, imposter syndrome is not a flaw in you. And it's not a truth. Members only Palm Beach. Thank you. It is not a flaw at all. This is a predictable response to high expectations and high visibility. So I want you to almost think about it as, well, let's rewind. High visibility can be different for different people. You might be someone who doesn't like to be seen. For example, one of the ladies that was at the photo shoot today, she's like, I don't like doing this. I get really anxious. And I'm up there like, strike a pose, Vogue. Like, so like, that's not high visibility to me. But for her, it is. So I want you to know high visibility can be different for everyone. But yeah, I was like 5, 6, 7, 8. Give me the camera. That's my performance. See? That's my performance. Anyways, however, I also wanted to say that high visibility is a good sign. It's a good sign that you're at the right place. You're moving in the right direction in your life. You're probably leveling up, even though Dr. Kira Bobinet would say that leveling up is a performance-based metric, but you get what I'm saying. So the other thing is, and I wanted to just note this, that in the coaching world, right? Structured reflections, coaching, supportive environments can significantly reduce no pics or eyes on me. See, we're different, right? Where you, Kristen, could be in a really high level, serious meeting and like crush. And I'm over here like, who invited me, right? So I love it. So today we're going to talk about what imposter syndrome, like why does it happen? What, again, environments shape it, of course, and more importantly, how to move through it. That's why we're here, how to survive it. So again, I really want you guys to walk away from this with that ability of what I did today to catch it. It's not that we're not going to have the thought. It's not the first thought. That's the problem, you guys. It's what we do with it. Do we believe it? Or do we say, like I was like, you cuss like a sailor. If you tried to not curse, yes, I should probably not. I don't curse that much anymore compared to where I used to be. But, I should probably, be professional in these things. However, I was having sushi. We were talking about life. I'm going to throw an F-bomb out. So, I want you to be able to do that. Okay. So I'm going to list for you guys the most common symptoms of imposter syndrome. And I want you to comment the one you struggle with most. Okay. Let's do this. Persistent self-doubt despite evidence of success. So I want you to listen to all of them. So we'll call that number 1. Persistent self-doubt despite evidence of success. Number 2, feeling like a fraud or fearing you'll be left out or found out. So like people are going to figure out that that you're a serial killer. I don't know. Attributing success to luck, to timing, to other people. Oh, well, it only happened because Robbie retired. No, that's not it. Okay, so that was number 3. Attributing success to luck, timing, or other people. Number 4, minimizing or dismissing achievements. Number 5, difficulty accepting praise or compliments. I know one person in here. Number 6, overworking or over preparing to prove your worth. I'm just listing people off in my head. Number 7, procrastinating due to fear of failure. Number 8, avoiding new opportunities or visibility. Number 9, constantly comparing yourself to others. And number 10, believing you don't truly belong in the room. So which one in the chat? So 1 through 10. And if you want, you can put an extra credit in there, because what we're going to do with this later is I'm going to help you with the one that you list. I'm going to help you reframe it so that we can get you feeling like, okay, like I have something to work on today. So perfect. So I'm going to let you guys one more time. Persistent self-doubt despite evidence of success is 1. Feeling like a fraud or feeling like you'll be found out is 2. Only 1. 4, 5, and 6. Got it. No, you could do more than 1. Number 3, attributing success to luck, timing, or other people. Number 4, minimizing or dismissing achievements. Number 5, difficulty accepting praise or compliments. Number 6, perfectionism and fear of making mistakes. Number 7, overworking or over preparing to prove your worth. Number 8, procrastinating due to fear of failure. Number 9, avoiding new opportunities or visibility. Oh wait, I messed up the numbers, didn't I? All right, I'm gonna stop there. So you guys figured it out. Got it. 1, 4, 5. Oh, 4 and 5. We've got 2 people with 4 and 5. So that's the 1, 2, 3, 4. Minimizing and dismissing achievements, difficulty accepting praise or compliments. Good, good. Okay. So let's talk about where this comes from, because obviously that's kind of my thing, is therapy, and not, I won't call it therapy because I'm not practicing as your therapist. Oh, we should probably add that in here as like disclaimer. This is not a, what do they say on there? This is not, in place of therapy if you need it. We should probably put that in here. But I do like you to understand. I really am a believer that we can't change what we don't understand. 5 and 10. Got it. We can't change what we don't understand. And why do I believe that? I think at a certain point, we just think we're broken and messed up, right? But when we're like, oh, well, of course I would act this way. Look at how I was raised. Look at, the society I grew up in. Then you're like, you kind of get a little angry at it. You're like, no, F that. I get to choose now. They chose for me back then, but I get to choose now. So it's also part of it. So of course, we're going to talk about your family of origin, because your early life experiences shape your internal beliefs. Those internal beliefs will shape the way you think about your worth, your confidence, your competence, and overall achievement. So we talk about this often, but that conditional approval. So we talk about unconditional love. But for a lot of us, we perceived, very important, we perceived our environment to be conditional. Praise tied to love, to being seen, right? You were only praised when you achieved something. Now, I want to come back to that word perceived, because yes, there are going to be families that overtly say, like, no, like, you need to get the straight A's. You're not trying hard enough. You're not taking this seriously. And that's not great. But for most of us, it was a perception of, this works for me. I get a lot of attention from this, good attention. So I'm going to keep doing it. And so you perceive like, well, achievement gets me attention. So I need to continue to achieve, right? That increase, right, of love, attention, connection, maybe gifts, that's going to increase your want to perform in that way. You'll see kids kind of elaborate on their successes. They may have not scored the goal, but fib that they scored the goal, or fib about a compliment or something like that, or elaborate on it. They're really just trying to like get that feedback, because they learn like my value equals what I produce. Okay. And again, for a lot of our families of origin, they didn't choose this. This is just what they thought was best. I mean, why not say, great job, let's go get McDonald's, right? That was always a thing back in the 80s and early 90s. There again, though, I want to acknowledge there are some families that are overtly doing this. But my parents, interestingly, didn't do this with grades. They did. My mom, however, did it with dance, and it was over. It was, you can do this better than that person. And I just remember, and I know she was just trying to encourage me, but I remember it making me feel really icky as a kid, like, well, don't put them down, you know? And I didn't want the pressure of holding on to that, because what if I couldn't do it better than them? So I remember like downplaying it. Could I maybe do the thing better than? Maybe. I don't remember. But I just remember it feeling like a lot of pressure to hold on to. Like, well, what if I can't? Is my mom going to like disown me? No, but you know what I'm saying? Okay. So that's number one. Number two is just high expectations, of course, in perfectionistic households. So this is counter to the former, where mistakes are heavily criticized. So you learn, like, I have to do things this specific way. I have to do it perfectly, and you're going to try to do it right. I think of this with kids who are put in parent positions where they have to take care of a sibling or siblings, usually siblings, because it's like usually bigger families. So the older kids take care of the youngers. And I've heard this from clients before, where they would get criticized for not for sister hitting her head on the corner of the table. But she's a kid herself, and she doesn't have the mental capacity, the development, the maturity to, kind of make sure everything, how mom brains are like got everything. They got eyes in the back of their head, front of their head, side of their head. Like, they know what's going on. The kid doesn't know that. Or the kid tries to provide consequence or punishment for their siblings, and then they get yelled at for that. I think of this often, where their mistakes, even though they were kind of set up for failure, are criticized. One second, guys. I don't want my iPod. Let's see here. Okay, so that's my mic, speaker, AirPods. Okay. For some reason, they moved over here. So mistakes are heavily criticized. It could be anything. It could be the way you make your bed. It could be the way that you completed an assignment, or even you did try your best in something and maybe you just fell short. In that same kind of idea of, you're not doing it, you're not trying hard enough, even though maybe you did try your hardest and you're just not good at that thing. Rather than, being like, great, like, did you have fun? No, like, you're making us look bad. And that's what that kind of perfectionistic household, I would say too. I see this often in my clients who come from specific cultures, especially for women. Now, I'm Hispanic, and traditionally in the Hispanic culture, and I mean, look at me right now, like, it's we don't leave the house looking like, Haley Bieber with like the hair and the bun. No, you're going to have a full face on. I am going to be Eva Longoria from 6 a.m. to midnight, right? I am going to, so I have to look perfect, It's funny I'm saying this right now because I literally have full makeup on, but this is something I do struggle with. Like, I have a lifting coach I'm working with on some Olympic lifts, and he comes to my house at 6 a.m. and I still put a little face tint on. It's just something I do. So I also think of my clients in like a Persian culture and Middle Eastern cultures. There is a lot of this perfectionism of like how we look towards other people's that a lot of my clients have had to process. The next one is these identities. How many of you were in gifted programs or like special programs? Or like for me, I was in competition dance, right? Not regular people dance. I was in we called it something else, but it was like the competition squad. I was in Legacy. That was in high school. How many of you were given these identities of like the smart one, the gifted one, these labels, even natural talents, right? Or your natural talents, I should say, become labels. They become identities of you being a hard worker, right? And it becomes who you are. Like, I'm the smart one. I'm I'm the dancer, all the gifted programs. Yes. I was the dancer. I was the performer. I was the one who won awards. I mean, I remember walking around a family reunion with this dance scholarship, going to every single person with my little dance scholarship papers. Yeah. And just being like, praise me. Everyone praise me, right? Because I knew that in my family specifically, like, there wasn't a lot of, this is going to sound, we're just we come from, my family was not, I would talk about my dad's side of the family. They came from very little means. They worked really hard, and really work ethic was something that was ingrained in us. But it was like, you start at a job, you work hard at that job, you move up at that job, right? So there was a few things that we celebrated as a family in regards to accomplishments, but I was kind of, it was, there's a lot of pressure of like, she's going to make it. She's going to make it, or at least that's what my little brain told me. So nobody could have even cared. But in my brain, I was going to make it. I mean, I was literally voted most likely to be famous in high school. So that was my identity. You guys, the gifted program identities, right? So with this, we learn I have to work at this. If I don't, I'm going to lose who I am. I'm going to lose this identity. Like, an identity is who you see your world through. And if I don't keep this up, who am I? You see this a lot with athletes that don't make it. If you guys are watching Love is Blind, not Chris, Alex guy, he is an ex-soccer player who, I didn't really listen to him when he was talking, but it sounds like I would have checked out of that date. Let me say that right now. But it sounds like he was trying to go pro, like MLS. I was like, which one am I talking? What sport am I talking about? MLS, and then he got injured. And this like identity crisis that he has. A lot of athletes have that. But we have that too, even as kids. Like, I've got to keep this up. I'm the smart one in the family. My grades make everyone feel good. Yes, Alex is completely bullshit. Agreed. Comparison culture. Now, I have a brother who is 4 years older than me and a sister who's 10 years older than me. They didn't compare us, except for my attitude. Why can't you be more like your brother? However, I know plenty of clients who have siblings. Why can't you be more like your sister? Why can't you get good grades like your sister? Why can't you da-da-da-da? Your sister's dating. Why aren't you dating? Blah, blah, blah. That comparison culture is like, my worth is relative, right? I need to be competing. I need to always compare. I need to make sure that I am just as good as everybody else, right? And then this one is not one that's talked about as much, but that emotional invalidation, like really invalidating your reality, what you think, what you want, your needs, your hunger, your emotions, that those cutoff terms, like, why are you crying? There's nothing to cry about. You just ate, right? I think about kids. I think about when I went through my first breakup, and I was gutted. And I remember my dad realizing how gutted I was. And that could have been real bad. But I see parents be like, well, there's other fish in the sea. There's, you're so young, you'll get a boyfriend next week. That's really invalidating to kids, right? And that over time creates a lack of attunement to themselves, this is very important, you guys. They feel dismissed. They feel invalidated. They don't know, you may not have known what you wanted. So you started to perform and mask what everyone else wanted from you because you believed you couldn't trust yourself. So over time, we've got to prove our worth. Being ourselves is not enough. And if we fail, right, we're going to not belong. We're not going to belong. So you can see how these things come about. And now that's just family of origin. Let's talk about the achievement-driven culture that we live in. The boss babe, right? The hustle culture. That is very much creating this persona that we can do it all and that we should be doing it all. Even think about these people who do these like routines. Remember the guy who he like woke up and did like 100 push-ups, and then he, drank his green juice, and then I don't know what he did, but he went into cold plunge, did all this shit, right? Yes. Yes, good. I'm glad. Even this, like, come with me on my morning routine where I do 75 things before 6 a.m. You're looking at that and you're like, the fuck? I am still in bed at 6 a.m. What's wrong with me? I should be doing the 75 things. There is this achievement driven where success is equated to you being worthy or better than. Better than is a mother because it's so socially accepted. But better than and less than come from the same pool. Trauma, insecurity, self-worth issues, right? The other part of that is, again, like I talked about, these public metrics of value, even the blue check. I do have a blue check. I was told if I got a blue check, I'd have better ratings on social media. That is a lie. But these metrics, the titles, the income, the followers, even. I know someone who is so obsessed with hitting a certain number of revenue that this individual is making that a priority over everything else. Just to say, I make blank figures. And I'm like, it's not going to be good for you. And of course, we have social media. Again, the get ready or not get ready with me, like my routine. Look at what I do in a day. There's so many different professions that do this too, but the constant highlight reels without context, as you start watching things like that, obviously it's going to drive your algorithm to continue to show you that. So you continually are being shown these comparisons. And then of course, again, the likes, the views, the follows, that's something I struggle with hard. I struggle with it hard. Rebecca is always like, I don't know what else to do here. Like, you have great content. It looks good. It's great information, but it gets 300 views and like 4 likes. And thank you to the ones of you, I know you're here, that like that stuff. But it makes us all very angry. And the anger though isn't like, I want to be an influencer. No, the anger is, this is a comparison that I struggle with. It's like, why is the person who is teaching women failure habits are just going to make them feel worse about themselves, got millions of views, whereas we're trying to like teach you how to like feel to accept who you are, and we've got 300 views. So that is one I struggle with myself. Okay, and the other one I want to talk about is the representation gap, as I already talked about, being the only one in the room. Gender, race, age, industry. Being the only one in the room can make you feel like you have to change yourself to be like everybody else. You do not. You are there for a reason. You are a trailblazer, really. And that too can put a lot of pressure on people to achieve. However, having the boundaries we talk about is very important. Another part that comes with this gap, the representation gap, is this threat of stereotype. Gen Z has the opposite of it. Possibly. I'm going to have to think about that. The question is, do you think Gen Z has the opposite of imposter syndrome? So Dunning-Kruger effect. I need to think about that. The reason why is hold on. Let me finish this. Where were we? Oh yeah. Stereotype threat. Like people just put you in boxes. So you think like you have to like act differently. So you're not put in that box. Or just like we talked about, like lack of mirrors in your leadership and understanding of like who you are, your culture, how you work. That can be really difficult. But obviously in these situations, in an effort to have more diversity in our environments, someone has to be the trailblazer, but you can do it without these performance-based metrics. Okay, so we talked about how we got here. We talked about where it comes from. I want you to just think about, and if you're listening, put this together, like the reinforcement cycle that happens. Okay, so Imposter syndrome persists from the way we think. So self-doubt arises. That's a thought. Why should I be here? Oh my God, I said that. That was so dumb. That didn't even make sense. These are things I literally say myself. Um, she's so smart. Like that comparison. Like, oh, well, she speaks so well. I don't want to say anything, right? Then, you know, you'll go and say that's a board meeting, and then you have a project, right? So you come out of this board meeting and you're like, God, why am I even here? Like, these people are so much better than me. But then you have a project. So you're like, no, I'm going to prove I'm good. So you over prepare, you overwork, you burn yourself out, right? And because of that burnout, you make mistakes. You are just not as energetic. You have brain fog because you didn't sleep all night because you're over prepared. You come into the presentation or whatever it is, and you kind of half-ass it, right? And or you're trying to say things in a way that you think everyone else wants you to, like how you want, excuse me. You're trying to say things in the way you think everyone wants you to say them and how they want to hear you. So you're not even working from yourself, and you have literally now created an outcome that you feared simply by this perfectionistic mentality, simply by overextending yourself. Why? To please everyone else in hopes to get the praise. And then you feel like shit afterwards. So we have the belief, I'm not supposed to be here. I'm not good enough. I really need to ace this performance, whatever it is. We over prepare, we overthink, we have anxiety, we burn our shit, candle at both ends. We end up in the performance, in the meeting, in the date, and we're not connected to ourselves. So we're just performing whoever we think they want us to be. And when we leave, we feel like shit. And then we feel like shit and we say, see, you shouldn't be there. And it happens over and over and over again. This will lead to, again, chronic anxiety, burnout, persistent self-doubt, even depression, like true major depressive disorder. And I want you guys to be thinking about, what is my pattern? What is the cycle that I'm doing to reinforce my feelings of imposter syndrome? Because at the end of the day, what I just said to you, I think this is probably the most important part of this podcast, is you feel like an imposter because you are not acting from who you are. You are masking in an effort to seek approval from others. That's why you feel like an imposter, because you are. Because you don't think being you is enough, and that is ridiculous. It may not be for everyone, and that's fine. I don't want to hang out with everyone. I don't even want to hang out with many people at once. I want to hang out with like 3 to 5 people in a setting at one time. I went to a gala and I was trying to meet as many people as I could there. And I ended up in a conversation with these 2 ladies. And then I like kind of bopped around, but it was like 2 people at a time, and that was good for me. So what do we do? What time is it? Okay. First things first, we need to practice separating our worth from performing. So many successful people have had several iterations of the thing that they are successful at, whether that's jobs. So you think like Oprah, she was a newscaster, right? And got this chance to do the Oprah show. I think she was fired at one point from the news, but then became Oprah, right? You think about Apple, you think about Amazon. There's different iterations that some of us don't even know about of what we would consider failure. But those individuals didn't consider it failure. They just said, oh, that wasn't the right way to do that, so let's try it this way. Because they know that their shortcomings in whatever it is they were doing had nothing to do with their worth. They just said, all right, that didn't work. And that could be in relationships. OMG, Alex, just that could be in relationships, that can be in work. Beginning to recognize what I do or don't do has nothing to do with my value. And I know you guys probably thinking, well, there's some things that, you're kind of a piece of shit if you do. We're not talking about those things because you're a people pleaser. So you're probably not doing those things, right? So my value is inherent. What does that mean? Now I'm a spiritual girly. I believe your value is in your existence. I believe if you're a believer of God, you are here by design. You're here on purpose for a purpose. And that purpose isn't, you being President's Club. I promise you that. You're here on purpose for a purpose, and that purpose is connection, love, safety, growth, autonomy, those types of things. So we want to track our character traits rather than track our performance traits, right? So reducing that, redefining words are hard today. Redefining success metrics, right? But more importantly, what do I value? What are characteristics about me that I am proud of? I'm honest. I have strong integrity. I'm resilient. I'm creative. Think about that. Neutralize this idea of failure, performance, achievement. Neutralize it. Whether I win or I lose, I'm still fucking good. I'm great. I had a conversation. I do check-ins with my clients on like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And I said to one today, and I know she goes to church, and I said, listen, God is not up there being like, you shouldn't have ate those Girl Scout cookies. I don't know what to think about you. No, not happening. And no one else cares either. By the way, my Girl Scout cookies taste stale, and I'm pissed. Anyways, moving on. We want to update the old identity labels. So if you were the gifted one, right? If you were the good one, if you were the performer, the dancer, we've got to say that was a time of my life where I believe that all I was worth was being in the gifted program, getting the straight A's, whatever that is. And while that taught me a lot of wonderful characteristics about myself, again, work ethic, resilience, creativity, it's not who I am. It is not who I am. There are so many other cooler things about me than this identity that I've created or that was created for me. I am someone who learns. I am someone who is, again, creative. I'm not just the performer. I'm a creative. And being creative means so many things. Being a performer is, yes, could also be many things. But, for me, it was, you're the dancer. You need to make it, going on these auditions because that's what I was supposed to be, completely disrespecting my body in an effort to stand up there and not be told right away, like, no, go. You're too fat. You're too whatever, So we've got to disconnect from our old identity labels. And I don't want you to connect to necessarily like a positive identity label. I again just want you to come back to this idea that I am. That's it. I'm not good. I'm not bad. I'm not this. I'm not that. Like, I am, and I'm worth it. And like I said, I am a human being, not a human doing. And that right there, that last one, just say that to yourself. You're going to feel good about it. Again, normalize mistakes. Normalize that some shit just doesn't work out for you because it's not the way that you get to it isn't for you. It's for maybe someone else and the way that they did it. However, it doesn't work for you. And that's fine. If you knew how my fucking brain worked, you'd be like, huh? I tell Mark sometimes, my husband's very analytical. And I will tell him how I solve things. And he's just like, palm on the forehead. He's like, what? And I'm like, that's not for you, Mark. You do your little arithmetic, and I will do it my way. And we'll still get to the end, right? So just normalizing that you're going to do things imperfectly. You're going to do things a different way than someone else, and that is okay. Take what you do and use it as data. It's not a verdict. It's just metrics. It's data. It's data. I'm moving in the right direction, or it's data. I'm moving away from from the direction I want to go into. That's all it is. That's all it is. So normalize those mistakes. And then, of course, we want to challenge those beliefs, right? So if I don't get this, I think about little Christina, who was so terrified of not winning the dance president election that I was going to move schools if I didn't win. And I was, do you think that men have less imposter syndrome? Yes. I'll come back to that. I was terrified to lose. And if I could just go back to her and say, none of this matters. You are going to live a wonderful, healthy life. Just think about too, like when we're thinking about challenging our core beliefs, I want you guys to actually go back and think about some of the dumb shit you've told yourself when you were younger and how that panned out for you. It probably doesn't even matter. And so a lot of your struggles now, a lot of those negative thoughts now, what will your 80-year-old self think? What does your 80-year-old self want you to know about you right now? That's the reframe. That's challenging that core belief. So the ones I have here, if I fail, I will lose my job, right? Or people will think I'm dumb. And you can just simply say something neutral, like, if the people around me disown me, they weren't supposed to be with me in the first place. Okay? This idea, I must prove myself. I like to say this all the time. Christina, remember who the fuck you are. And that seems to make everything go away. Some more behavioral things we can do is obviously disrupt our social media, curate it. We've talked about this before. Curate it towards, there's a lot of wonderful content creators who are all about validating and positivity and cheering you on, and puppies and monkeys. I mean, look at Punch. Talk about imposter syndrome, right? If you don't know what I'm talking about, Google Punch monkey. He was disowned. He was literally pushed and dragged by his people. And you know what he did? He said, I am not going to perform for you. I am going to hang out with my monkey, my stuffy, and I am going to have a great time. So fuck you. And then what happened? He found his people. So be Punch. Be Punch monkey. Oh, that fucking monkey. For you personally, here's a big one, guys. Stop using the filters. Stop using the filters. Stop using the highlight reel. Now, I mean, for me, like I posted pictures today from this Zilio, the photo shoot. I liked them. I thought they were pretty pictures, but do I look like that all the time? No, I don't. I literally have eyelashes on as we speak. But be careful with yourself of even showing up as that imposter part of you, using the Facetune, making yourself smaller. Even like what people do is they'll take pictures from the 0.5 because it makes you look longer. You're setting yourself up for insecurities down the line. So let's reduce that, right? And then also think about like what context am I, like when you're looking at other people's highlight reels, like what context am I not seeing here? So say it's like a friend or say it's a family member, like I'm looking at this and it looks all great, but I don't know how she felt in her head. I don't know if they fought during that, trip. I don't even know if they slept in the same room. So that's great. Good for them. But I don't need to compare myself. And then, of course, as we talked about, break that cycle. So if I can change the thoughts, right, then that's going to change my behaviors. When I change my behaviors, I'm not going to overwork. I'm going to have boundaries. I'm going to show up as myself in my best self. That's going to provide me this more success, but success that's true to me. And whether that's success, and again, that success metric is going to be reframed to I did that hard thing. And maybe you don't get the what's the word? Bid. That was really hard. Maybe you don't get the bid for the job, or maybe you don't get the job, but like seeing your success in ways that, wow, I did that. I didn't even think that I would get the interview. And look, I went and interviewed and I got a couple of interviews. Like, oh, right. I may not have got the job, but like, look at this, look at the good shit that I did. Document your wins. Document your wins in writing. Start specifically with things that I say you can take to court. Not perceptions, but like I did a hard thing, kind of like I talked about. And then last one, I'm going to leave you because I know this is so long today. You ready for this, ladies? The word is 2 words. Thank you. When somebody compliments you and you want to, yeah, but I'm just like, this is such an old dresser. Yeah, but I'm like really tired. Or, no, 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 no. We're going to say 2 words. Thank you. You can change it up. You can say, that's very kind of you. Got it? We're just going to allow ourselves to say thank you. Okay, questions. Question number 1, do I think that Gen Z has the opposite of imposter syndrome? So the reason why I had a hard time thinking about that is I don't interact with a lot of Gen Zers. So I don't. No, I actually, okay. Logically, I think they actually have something that we haven't diagnosed yet, which is more of this who they are online compared to who they are in person. Because they're the generation have been online their whole lives. And they have had more of what we're talking about here with the comparisons of others, the face tuning, the photo, it's not photoshopping, but the filters, all of that. There's actually a word for it, and I can't think about it. This idea of it's a dysmorphia. It's like a social media dysmorphia. And I think that Gen Zers very much struggle with who they really are. And, if have you guys seen those videos where it's like, 8th graders and they're doing all these dances, 8th graders now. And then there's us like, bye, 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 like with our braces and stuff. Like they're hypersexualized. They are wearing makeup sooner. They're, you know what I mean? Like, I think that they have there's going to be a new segment of what we millennials call imposter syndrome. That's going to be more media based. So that's my thought on that. And then do I think that men have less? Yes, actually, that was a part of my research. Let's see, where was it? Yes. Women are very much more likely to have imposter syndrome because we are natural people pleasers. We want people to like us. We don't want people to think of us negatively. And we naturally care for others, which oftentimes is at the expense of ourselves. So when we're caring for everyone else, we are disconnected from who our wants and needs and who we are. And therefore, if we don't know who we are, we just mask. We're great at masking. I talked about this with I talked about this with therapist Deanna Moore and Deanna Stevenson. She just recently got married. I've known her for a long time, so it's like hard to remember. Deanna Stevenson, even with ADHD, for those of us with ADHD whose brains already work differently than others, then also because ADHD is so paradoxical that it has this like hyper focus, very creative, like you can be very successful with ADHD, but because your brain is already doing its thing, and then now you're in this position of power and you're masking, that is where, imposter syndrome for women, specifically with ADHD, because we don't look like men, where it can also come from, because you really are masking, because you're like, I'm trying to present myself like everyone else, even though I know I'm not like everyone else. And rather than accepting, like, my brain works differently, you're trying to change you. And you don't need to do that. You don't need to change you. So I hope you guys found this helpful. I thank you guys for being here. Next week, I haven't thought about what I want to do for our live, but it is going into March. March is Women's History Month. And on the pod, we're going to have a lot of great interviews. And I have a few episodes of things specific to women. But if you have any requests, please let me know. One of the things that I wanted to talk about was, see, this is why I need to write things. See, Rebecca, this is why I need to start the notes app. It was a current day event. What was it, you guys? I don't remember. But if you have any ideas, please let me know. I really enjoy doing this. I love talking with you guys. I'm going to put this out there more, so hopefully we get more people on, but I'm really excited to just have a few and you guys spending this hour with me. Thank you so much. And hopefully next time, my cool video here. Let's see if the video will play just so you can see it's so cute. Let's see. Live stream intro, hide preview. No, it says play. Oh, live. Okay, here we go. Ready? I think this is going to do it. That's me. Did you see it? Did we all see it? Yeah. Let me know if you saw it. I forget there's a delay on this. Anywho, thank you guys. I hope to see you here next week. And I will please share with your friends that we do this and it's a place to just learn. Yay, it worked. It's so good. Learn and have a community of women that, you know, are looking to better themselves and, you know, looking at your list, right? When we talked about what are the common symptoms, I want you to look at those this week. I want you to see when they're coming up for you. And I want you to pay attention to how you feel. I want you to pay attention more specifically to the triggers that trigger them. What things in your environment make you feel in those negative ways, right? Because we had the list. Then everything we talked about, like being able to catch it in the moment, being able to recognize where the thought is. What are you saying about yourself? And let's neutralize it. Let's just neutralize it. We don't have to go positive. We don't have to go cheesy affirmation. Just neutralize it. Focus on a fact. Focus on a characteristic of value in you and see what happens. Cool. Love you guys. Thank you so much for being here. And I will see you next week.